Thanks for coming through to this session. I'm going to be speaking on, basically using XRPL assets in low-tech environments, so using XRPL over text message. And I've titled this session Transacting in Low-Tech Environments. My name is Julian Kanjere, and thanks for coming through. So just a bit of background about myself. I've studied computer science, worked in asset management, and more recently gone back to university to do my master's in financial technology, which is where my blockchain journey started, and currently doing my PhD as well. Shout out to Ripple and UBRI for their research initiatives. So we are seeing quite a lot of students coming through the University of Cape Town and getting into this blockchain ecosystem. Okay, so for my talk, I'm just going to give a bit of background about what is a low-tech environment. Right, so this is an environment that generally will have limited internet access or feature phones or a combination of both, and just try and paint a problem of how do we include users in this ecosystem, right, in this Web3 ecosystem if they're in a low-tech environment. And then I'll talk about the SMS wallet that we have developed, show the architecture, the XRP bits that come into play, and give a bit of a demo. And if time allows, maybe we can have a question and answer during the session or maybe outside in the foyer. Okay, so let's talk about the background. What would we say is a low-tech environment, right? This is an environment, if you think in emerging economies, emerging markets, where you have users that either do not have reliable and regular access to the internet like you and I do. Maybe they can only access the internet over the weekend, or if they've got a family member that's come back from work and has got internet, and then they can sort of hotspot and use their device. But it's basically they don't have regular internet access, right? That's the one aspect of it. Or maybe they do have internet access, but they don't have access to a high-end smartphone. So they might have a low-end smartphone, which is limited in resources, and they would typically then get frequent messages that they're running out of space on their device because it's a low-end smartphone. Then they have to end up deleting apps, photos, just to get rid of that notification. An interesting insight that we found out is often when people have to delete apps because they don't have space, the two apps they don't delete are Facebook and WhatsApp. So I'm just mentioning this because, starting to think about if we were to build a wallet within that domain, maybe it would have to be like WhatsApp-based, but obviously then that means you're now at the mercy of maybe Facebook, Meta, and so forth. But for now, what we've gone with is an SMS because there isn't that one party that's managing this. So that's sort of the background about what a low-tech environment is. And this is, think in emerging economies, think of marginalized groups, or even areas where there's been some form of disaster, some war, some flooding, or something, right? Where you don't have your basics, you don't have a laptop, you don't have access to electricity and that sort of thing. Okay, so with that background, then the question is, what options do users in these environments have to transact via digital assets, right? What options do they have to take part in this ecosystem that we've been talking about? And some of these options are, they could maybe transact over SMS because they'll most likely have at least a feature phone, or if they've got a low-resource smartphone, we at least know that they can use SMS. They could use USSD. You could maybe use paper-based wallets, kind of similar to how we use ATM cards, and then you go to a central machine somewhere to transact using this card, or maybe trusted agents, right? So if you look at a lot of the success stories in African mobile money startups, a lot of them, what's made them successful is this idea that they've got agents across the country where people can, once they receive funds, they can then go and exchange that for cash. So that's an alternative, that maybe you can have trusted agents who have smartphones, and somehow that smartphone will manage the keys of the user. I mean, this is just throwing out some ideas there. But the sort of problem that we keep coming back to is, in the case of these limited resource devices, right? So whether it's a feature phone and we're using text message, how do we manage keys on such a device? And often the solution is, okay, let's go towards a custodial solution where you have a central custodian, but then this then begs the question that what about decentralization, right? So part of the philosophy of Web3 is decentralization. And we think that this is with the wallet that we've developed, we think that this is a necessary compromise to go the route of being the custody of the users, being the custodian of the users' funds, moving away a bit from decentralization, but in a bid to try and bring in more people into the Web3 economy. Okay. So what have we developed? We have developed a wallet that we call Mandla Wallet, which is a digital wallet that allows users to transact with digital assets over text message with no need for a smartphone and no need for an internet connection. I mean, I think these are the two key aspects of the solution. We participated recently in the Creating Real-World Impact Hackathon, and we won the Best Social Justice Use Case Award for that. And just a fun fact, Mandla is a word in Zulu, which is a South African language, and that means power. And the idea is we are saying that we want to give power to people to participate in this Web3 economy. Okay, so what are some of the benefits of this wallet that we've developed, and maybe more generally, like an SMS type of wallet, what we think are the benefits? This helps to bring in people that are excluded from the financial system into the system with little friction, right? Because they're already used to using SMS, so this is just something natural and natural extension to add them into the ecosystem. This would be useful as well for low-cost distribution of social welfare or relief aid. I mean, if you think of the stimulus checks that are being sent out during COVID and the cost associated with distributing these checks, right? Take it to an emerging economy context. In South Africa, there is a social grant that is given to millions of people every month. But the cost of distributing this grant are easily $5 to $10 per user, per individual. You've got millions of people receiving this. So you're running into costs of over 10 million. You know, if you're distributing to 10 million users, you're running into significant costs per month just to distribute this. But what if we could distribute this through this SMS wallet, you know, taking advantage of the XRP ledger? The other benefit there is there's no internet connection required. So pretty much all you just need is your feature phone, SMS connection, your SIM card, and you're good to go. Where do we think there's potential for something like this as well? If we think of CBDCs, at least how we're thinking about it is central banks don't have the operational capability to manage retail accounts, right? So the most likely scenario is a hybrid scenario where the central bank issues a currency, and then they have intermediaries who will be wallet providers, such as your banks, your fintechs, startups, and so forth, multiple of them managing these wallets on behalf of users. And we think that there's space for an SMS wallet. I mean, if you think about these intermediaries, right, you might have providers that are targeting millennials and Gen Z, so maybe they'll have some form of social media-related wallet. And then you have your banks maybe offering wallets that are for traditional users. And then you have an SMS wallet that caters for these marginalized communities or unbanked individuals who do not have regular access to internet and so forth. And then lastly, if we think of cases like Zimbabwe or Venezuela, this could be an easy way for individuals in those countries to have a store of value if they transact with, let's say, a USD asset on the XRP ledger, for example. Okay, so given that background and sort of what the utility of such a wallet would look like, I'm just going to talk about the architecture and how we've built our wallets. So we've got a Django application in the back end, Django web server, that's hosted on Heroku, and we're making use of the XRPL Pi SDK library to interact with the ledger, and an online internet gateway for an SMS gateway for relaying of the SMSs from users to our server. So we're using Twilio for that. And then you've got the user interacting with the wallet from their normal feature phone, sending an SMS. Okay, so how does the workflow work? A user would basically send a message to the Mandla Money number. That user input is forwarded to the gateway. The gateway forwards that message to our web server through our webhook. And then depending on whether the user is, for example, off-ramping and wanting to get cash, then we will then go and talk to the ledger. If not, if it's just a user sending funds to another user within the ecosystem, then we actually don't need to go to the ledger at that point. There's just shifting balances within the app. And then if a user receives funds externally from outside of our ecosystem, so let's say somebody sends from an exchange and includes their tag, then again, that's where we would be querying the ledger regularly to see if there's any new transactions that have come in. I was having a conversation yesterday with one of the attendees, and when I explained this platform, they basically said that this is, so I'm coming from Cape Town, South Africa, and we don't have Apple Pay, so the ability to pay over text message. And they said, okay, what you're describing basically sounds like Apple Pay over text message using the XRP ledger. So I think if there's a takeaway, like if you wanted a quick way to think about this is what we've developed. So just looking at the XRP side of things, what does this look like? We've got a central custody account, and then we have got tags basically for each user. So whenever a user sends a message for the first time to the wallet, their cell phone number is recognized, then we generate a tag for them, and then after that, they can either send funds to another user within the system using their cell number or using their tag. That should say user 1, user 2, user 3, user n, but clearly I created this in a rush. Okay, and then some of the open questions, right? I think this is a proof of concept at this point, but where we are, I'm hoping to have some more conversations. I've had a few conversations already, but hoping to have more conversations around this is, how do we lower the custodial risk, right? Because what we are trying to do is we want to bring in more people into the ecosystem, but to do this, we're sacrificing on decentralization, and we are choosing to be the custodian of the funds, and then that brings with it custodial risk, right? So how do we improve on this? How do we lessen this risk? How do we otherwise manage private keys on a low-tech device, a feature phone, right? Or maybe, are there other ways that we can almost have some form of a social mechanism of managing this amongst multiple users, right? So these are sort of the conversations that we're starting to think about. How can we de-risk such a solution? But in the meantime, it feels like the necessary trade-off to get more people in is to move away from decentralization, but with a view to say, in the long run, like how do you make this more safer for these users? Okay, so let's go through a demo. So I've got some screenshots, and then I'll have a video as well. So basically, some of the commands that you have there are, you send hello Mandla just to see the basic commands that the wallet can support. You can send a balance message to get your balance. If you want to send an asset, you basically say send XRP to this cell number and the amount of XRP that I want to send. You can also trigger a payment from someone. So you can say that I want to receive a payment from you, and I send receive this asset from this user. They'll get a message to say, do you want to pay this person, and they'll be able to pay them. Some screenshots of the actual app. On the left, you've got the sender who is checking their balance and then sending 30 USD to the person on the right, and then they check their balance and they can see that amount has gone down. Then on the right, you've got the receiver getting a notification to say, hey, you've received so much. Then they check their balance again, and their balance has increased. Okay, I'm going to show a quick video, which would basically be the exact same as those screenshots, but just to see it sort of in action. So I'm going to try and save that. Okay, I might need to put this on. Okay, that is the right screen, and press play. Okay, so I'm going to talk over the video once it starts. So what we have here is an issuer account that has issued USD, and we've basically set trust to the custody account. and then sent some USD to that account. And then the next is going to be the custody account that shows the USD balance that we've received, and also just shows basically the trust that we've set with the issuer. And the purpose of this is just to illustrate that this could be USD or any other asset on the XRP ledger, could even be a CBDC, for example, that it would be able to support. And then this is the default users checking their balance, or they basically say hello just to see what are the functions that I can conduct with this wallet, and then they send the balance message, they get their balance, and we can see there that they've got the USD that was sent to that default account. And then I decide, hey, I want to send 30 USD to that cell number, and that's the command that they would put in and hit send, and then they'll get a confirmation once that's gone through. And the nice thing about the ledger is it takes about 3 to 5 seconds if we were off-ramping, but in this case, this is from a user within the system to another, so no need to go to the ledger. Then they check their balance, and their USD balance has gone down by $30. Okay, and then we show the receiver. The receiver then is going to check their balance, and you can see that initially their USD balance is 0. And then wait a few seconds, and then they will get the USD that has been sent from there. And then if they check their balance again, the balance would have now increased by 30. Okay, so in a nutshell, that is Manda Money, Manda Wallet that we've built. Thanks for listening, and if you've got any questions, we'd be happy to chat either now or otherwise after the session. Thank you, everybody.